You ever just have one of those months where nothing goes according to plan? I want to give a huge thank you to my top tier Wizard Master patrons. Thank you, Chris, Nico, Cody, Sharon, Patrick, Leslie, Ryan, Jennifer, Jordan, White Stitch, and Reading Rainbow. Thank you all so much. Hey everyone, welcome back to Andrew's Wizardly Reads, and as always guys, I'm Adrian. Today I got my wrap up for you, but before we get to that wrap up, make sure you're liking and subscribing, hitting that bell notification so you can get regular updates for when I put out new content. Also, make sure you're checking that description box down below for the link to the Wizardly Duo Discord, as well as links to all my social media and information about my Patreon. And guys, nothing went according to plan this month. I got some news to where, I had to really shrink down the TBR. When I did the TBR, it was 18 books is too many. Well, yeah, 18 books is way too many. So I had to shrink down the TBR. One book I forgot was even on the TBR. I hauled it and forgot to stick it in my TBR stack, and so it went straight onto the shelf until I realized, I had to watch back my TBR and was like, oh, I meant to read that this month, which is fine. It works out because I'm planning to hold off on reading it anyway. We'll talk about all that. It was been a month of DNFs, of disappointing reads. I've got 3 5 stars, 1, 2, 3, 4 4 stars. 3 books I haven't even started at this point, because, it's kind of the week before the last week of April, and I'm doing it now because just some personal reasons, dealing with, we may be having the baby a bit early, and so I'm just kind of getting this to you guys now. And before we forget, I want to talk about a couple live shows that we had here, that I was a part of here this month. Mike from Mike's Book Reviews was kind enough to have me on for his Talk About Nothing, and we did that live. I was his guinea pig for that kind of a little bit of a format change. It was a lot of fun. We had a lot of people show up. We've had a lot of new subscribers from the channel who I believe saw that and discovered the channel that way. So if you were new here, thank you. I appreciate you hitting subscribe and checking me out. And if I didn't have any adult responsibilities or anything like that, I think I could have talked with Mike for another 2 hours, because I feel like we barely got started. But, there might be another chance that I show up on Mike's channel if he ever decides to bring back the Palaver video series. I am, of course, he said prerequisite is that I have to read The Stand, which I'm reading next month. But I would love to talk with Mike again someday. That was just so much fun. And then, of course, we did a live show for the Obsidian Path Trilogy by Michael R. Fletcher over on Nico's channel, and I'll have that linked up in the cards. And it was so much fun because, it was Joanna, Nico, and me, and we just, for an hour and a half, we sat there and we talked about Michael R. Fletcher. If you want to hear me make comments about, putting hot sauce on books and eating them, make sure to check out that live show. It was a lot of fun. I believe the trilogy gets completed here next month, or this month, I guess in May 15th is when the 3rd book comes out and it's all done. So those were a lot of fun. Alright, so let's start with pushes, DNFs, and things of that nature. So to start off, I have soft DNF'd Heart of the Bloodstone by Felina Wood. This one was just getting a bit long in the tooth, and things weren't just moving along the way that I really wanted them to, and I was kind of not enjoying the stuff that was filling in those gaps. There was a lot of romance elements that I just wasn't really vibing with, and so I've decided to put that kind of on the back burner for a little bit, and I may come back to it once I've had, just life calms down a little bit. I really needed some fun and engaging reads this month, and so far I haven't had a whole lot of those. Which led to just a lot of these. Of course, then we talk about the scale down, and one that got pushed, and this was just removed from my schedule, was The Exiled Fleet by J.S. Dewes. And this one just kind of got, it was just time crunch. I realized I had put too much into my TBR, and that I am in fact not a reading machine, and that I needed to make some sacrifices, and so this one sadly did not make it. It didn't even have a chance this month. I very early this month, I messaged the people who I was doing a buddy read with, and I was like, guys, I'm so sorry, I can't do it this month. And they're like, yeah, no, it's fine. So that one didn't even get read. Didn't even have a chance. The one I forgot. I forgot about Kingdoms of Death. I forgot it was even on the TBR because, like, as soon as I hauled it, I was like, you know what? I think I'm going to wait for book 5, and then I'm going to marathon those two. So, this is going to be off the TBR for a little bit until book 5 comes out. Because I enjoyed just reading Kingdom of Death and Demon in White back to back so much that I decided it is just better for me to hold off and experience that as just one giant story. Because I love Christopher Ruccio's writing so much that when I read him, I want to binge him. So Kingdoms of Death didn't even... I completely forgot it was on the TBR because I made a decision at some point that I was just going to read it along with book 5. Another push. This one is actually being pushed to May. I do have the audiobook for this as well. I was looking at my TBR and I just had to shrink stuff down. And because this was one that I'm starting new, I was like, you know what? Like, I'll move book 2 from May's TBR forward, and then I'll just read book 1 in May instead. And I think that would work just fine. So, again, another one that I didn't get around to. I then also, because life has just been kind of crazy and all over the place, I wasn't really vibing with super dark stories this month. And so, I know y'all voted for me to start We Ride the Storm. I got about 3 or 4 chapters into this. And it is good. This is one I do intend to read. Just not right now. It's a little darker than what I'm vibing with right now. And so this is just going back on the shelf where I will reach for it at a later date. But I do think that this is going to be a great series. I love the cover art. And so we are going to shelve this one for now. And then when I am in the mood for some darker Asian-inspired fantasy, I will definitely be reaching for this one and consuming it in its entirety. Alright, and then DNFs. So I was like, very early in the month, I started Tigana by Guy Gavriel K. And I have had reservations about GGK for a while. I've just, I've heard it's very flowery prose, very highbrow fantasy, lots of standalones, big ideas, and a lot of sex. And I hit the first sex scene in here, and I was like, you know what? I'm not really vibing with it. It's not really my cup of tea. And on top of the fact, like, what I thought that this was about, like, I was 50 to 60 pages in, and the story hadn't even really started at that point. And I was just like, you know what? It's a standalone. I'm kind of not getting what I'm expecting. I'm not really feeling these sex scenes and the way they're described. And so I decided to just put this one down and chalk it up to maybe GGK just isn't for me. And feel free to let me know in the comments down below if that is a mistake and if I should, in fact, change my mind and give it another shot. Because that is one I am willing to admit that I pulled the trigger on a little too fast. Now, Ocean at the End of the Lane. This was not on the TBR. This was a slot in. This was a gift from my buddy Nico. This is probably the best book I've ever DNF'd. And I say that because Neil Gaiman is one heck of a story writer. I DNF'd this one for very personal reasons. Just from events from my life and the way that this is told from a child's point of view and stuff that I have been through in my life. It hit a little too close for home, and I had a knee-jerk reaction where I was just like, no, I'm good. There's a scene in here about 50% of the way through. If you've read it, you know what I'm referring to. And at that point, I was just like, you know what? As somebody who has been through these kind of things, I didn't really want to read a story about that. And so I decided to DNF that story as well, which is nothing to do with the book. It is a beautiful book. It is full of interesting themes. And like I said, that's probably the best book I will ever DNF. Because I was having a great time right up until that scene, and I just went, nope, done. So that is all of that stuff. Alright, now let's talk about the disappointments. Okay, so starting off, we've got Witches Abroad. I think I gave this one like 2 stars. This is the most disappointing Discworld book I think I've ever read. And it was just a non-starter for me. This is basically like, what if witches were fairy godmothers? And I just couldn't wrap my brain around that concept. And so it was just a non-starter for me. And it just really didn't end up working for me. So that one just kind of left me feeling kind of flat. I will be continuing The Witches, of course, because I think I've got Lords and Ladies next. And I've heard that one is supposed to be pretty good. And this is one that you'll either love or you hate. And that's going to be Wizard and Glass by Stephen King, the fourth Dark Tower book. I liked the story elements in here, but for me, it felt like someone took Stephen King off of his leash and just said, you know all that crazy stuff that you like to do, those controversial scenes you like to do? Well, just write a book about it. And the weird in here just did not land for me. Like, the raunchiness and the crassness and the degeneracy within this novel just ruined a lot of the story elements. That, you know, there's just tons of... It didn't serve a purpose to me, and it was gross. And it kind of defeated the purpose to me, because, like, the whole point is that the world has moved on, and Roland's quest for the Dark Tower is about saving the world and, like, rolling back that calendar, supposedly. And, like, if this is the world that Roland came from, don't bother. It's not worth saving. Like, that was kind of my whole point, is, if this is the world you came from, why are you trying to save it? That's gross. That's disgusting. I didn't understand. I don't understand why this one gets a lot of love. The nested narrative in here had great elements, but the characters within that nested narrative, like the side supporting characters, I just didn't get it. There was just a whole bunch of stuff in there that I was just not okay with. So, yeah, this was like a 2.5, 3-star read. I will be continuing the Dark Tower, and hopefully, like, it can redeem itself off of Wizard and Glass. I know this is a lot of people's favorite. It just did not work for me at all. Alright, so then we've got a stack of 4-star reads. And those are The Dragon Lords by John Hollins. This one was just crass, sweary, good D&D campaign. I believe I've got... yes, so this month I do have scheduled to come out a dedicated book review for this one, because I really enjoyed this. It was a lot of fun. It wasn't anything mind-blowing, but it was a fun, just romp within a kind of D&D campaign setting. It just had that feel. I really enjoyed this. 4 stars. Maybe 4.5. The Dragon Reborn. I understand now kind of some of the complaints. I've been reading through the Wheel of Time again, doing it on audio this time for the first time. And I kind of understand a lot of complaints. They're like, well, Rand's barely in it. Yeah, and I do feel like sometimes it does kind of suffer from a lack of Rand within this story. So I kind of understand. And I did rate this one about a 4-star read for me. I still love The Dragon Reborn, but, I've got The Shadow Rising next, which I think Shadow Rising is one of my favorite Wheel of Time books. So we'll see if that is, in fact, true. All right, and then Otherland, The Mountain of Black Glass. This one just keeps on cranking up the weird. And one of my problems with this is it's kind of sticking at the 4-star range. It's just we've split the party so many times. We've got so many factions. We've got so many story elements that as I'm moving through the story, like, it's just hard to keep it all straight in my head. And a lot of the times I'm just like, yeah, okay, I'm confused. I don't know what's going on anymore. I don't know where we're at. I'm enjoying the ride, but a lot of the times I just got confused. So I think this is one of those stories where it's like, yeah, it's better after, like, you've read it one time all the way through, and then you read it through again. And there's nothing wrong with a story like that. It's just this month I did not have the brain capacity to just take it all in all at once. And then another one that is exactly like that is The Grace of Kings by Ken Liu. This one, I really enjoyed this. And unlike, Otherland, even if I didn't understand what was going on, a lot of the story elements are just written so well that they in of themselves are very entertaining. And so that's very, very good. But, I mean, the way that this through the factions, and, like, there's a bunch of background information where we'll leave the main characters and we'll go explore something else, or we'll give you the history background. Like, there is just so much packed into this book. I almost felt like this could have been a duology or a trilogy in of itself. There is so much packed within just 500 pages that a lot of the times, like, it's just kind of clicking into place. But sometimes it's just like, oh, that was some information, and I don't know if it was necessary, but it was entertaining. So I ended up giving Grace of Kings 4 stars. Alright, so now we've got the 5-star reads. And the 5-star reads are some of the best books I've read in a long time. And so I've only got 3 of them so far, and I've got 3 books I haven't even started yet. And one that I'm currently in the middle of. we've got The Coward by Stephen Aurien. I have a dedicated book review for this, I think coming out next week or the week after. It should be out, I think, on the 6th. Guys, that review is going to be a gush review. This is a brand new favorite author of mine. I absolutely loved The Coward. I gave it 5 stars. I just gushed all over that review. Children of Time by Adrian Tchaikovsky. This is one of the best sci-fi books I've ever read. This was so good. This was a themes and ideas book, and it just works. It was so refreshing, so interesting. I will be reading the second book in May. I have to continue. And then another one that I have a dedicated review for coming out is Legends and Lattes by Travis Baldree. The review is going to be like late to the party because it's got like 3,000 like ratings on Goodreads already. Like, it's been picked up by UK Tour, but like, this book is something special, guys. It is the perfect palate cleanser, and I have nothing but good things to say about this story. I absolutely loved it. Now, the books that I'm currently reading and will read before the end of the month, because like I said, I'm filming this early for reasons. I am reading Noble Roots by Drew Hayes. This is the 5th Spells, Swords, and Stealth, or some variation and mixing of that. I always call it the NPC series. I picked this up after DNFing Ocean at the End of the Lane. Like, most of the NPC books were like short, so I just figured I'd slot it in because I've got it on ebook. And I didn't look at the page count. And this is an 812 page chunker, which is kind of what pushed out We Ride the Storm. Is like, Drew Hayes is one of my favorite authors of all time. I've read 19 books by this man, and I've loved pretty much everyone except like one of them. And so like, I got excited, I got invested, I got 5 chapters in, and I'm like, I'm not making the amount of progress that I think I should be making. And then I looked and I was like, oh, that's because it's massive. So I am reading that right now, and I am loving it. And then of course, I still need to make my way through Fool's Assassin by Robin Hobb. I've read a lot of Robin Hobb. It's a return to Fitz in The Fool. I imagine this is going to destroy me, but that I am going to enjoy it. And then I also still need to read my patron pick, which is A Mark of Kings by Bryce O'Connor and Luke Chimolenko. Again, look at that cover from Wraithmark Creative. I don't know anything about this one yet because I haven't read these authors. I will update you in my May wrap-up about this one. And then, of course, wrapping up the Lotlands, which is going to be a buddy read with my booktube big sister Leslie, we've got The Free Bastards. I'm excited to read this one and close out this trilogy. It always feels great to wrap up a trilogy. I will let you guys know, of course, about these in the May wrap-up. That said, guys, that is everything that I've read, that I've DNF'd, that I'm currently reading, and just kind of the state of my reading life. Let me know in the comments down below how your reading month went. I would love to know. And as always, guys, till next time, peace out, stay magical, bye. And as always, I want to give a huge thank you to my patrons.